Hey there, welcome back to the table. So we're getting ready to start this next scenario. But before I do, I got some errata to take care of. The first one was the drifter grabbed the treasure box in the last scenario. And let me show you real quick. Um, so there's actually a, a function in this game where see how it has this little check mark next to the treasure box. So this is the loot table. So if you draw the loot for this particular scenario, you're supposed to check that box because it means that if you ever came back to this scenario again in the future, you can't draw the loot anymore. So if you recall, I was like, "Hey, there's still a loot in the loot deck," and then I, clicked at the end of the last video. Well, actually, the treasure chest, when we opened it, the treasure that we were supposed to get was 3 loots. And I wasn't paying attention to the app. I was just looking at the loot tokens that was on the character. And so the drifter only had 2 of these. And so it was impossible. So I never the drifter actually had 5 loot is what I'm trying to get at. So that click that we did, I accepted. So I took 2 gold because one of them was a gold. I took whatever that flower was, and it's this one right here, the arrow root or whatever. So we got a second one of those. I got the 2 gold, and then we got a loot. And that loot is the most useless thing I've ever seen in my life. It's called the wild growth seeds. During your turn, you can create a 1 hex obstacle. So maybe someday this will be valuable to, like, what was it, Craig in the original game, right? That would have been useful for Craig. But anyways, I got this item here that it'll at least sell for 10 gold, so I might just use it for that. The problem I have is I have 2 items now. And I'd have to check the rules real quick, but I think the amount of items you can have depends on your character level. So I don't think I can have both active at any time at the same time. But that's okay. These wild growth seeds are absolutely useless. So if I will check the rules, but the way I understand it and remember it is when you get these items and then you sell them, they're always in the shop. Like you can always buy them from here on out, and it's just a part of the shop if the character retires or if you sell them. Okay, errata number 2. This is a bigger one. The priest. The priest had a card like this one that would get drawn from time to time, and you can see there's like multiple copies of them. So as you know, the priest was an enemy that was actually an ally on our side, right? So they would move so many spaces, and then they would heal somebody. And the issue that was reported is that the priests were well, here, let me present it another way. So when you are doing monster activations, and I don't know how I lost the page. Oh, right here, focus. So when you do focus, there's a couple of mistakes I made with focus, and somebody pointed it out, and I have to say it's the dumbest rule of all time, but it is the rule. And I did verify it on Board Game Geek. So everything I explained about focus is true. Like, don't take any of that away, except for 2 things. The first one is that an archer just finds focus on whoever's closest, because they do move is the minimum number of spaces necessary to have a target, and they don't care about the movement path. As long as they can find a target, that's where. So it's always the closest target for an archer. So maybe an archer would have picked a different focus than, the movement path rule. Because that movement path rule that I've explained is for melee attacks. And so the archer could be slightly different. But even the person who pointed it out, I don't think he had any actual corrections. It's just that I wasn't explaining it properly. And so I give him credit. It's exactly as he described. The archer will target whoever they can that is closest, and the target is going to be whoever they have to do the least amount of movement for. So if they, if they don't have to move at all, and then there's, two targets within range, then, we continue with the tiebreakers like before. In the first tiebreaker being whoever's closest. So then the next one has to do with the priest thing that I just showed you. So in that scenario, as you remember, the priest was like way back here in the corner, and this was the door, right? We were coming through the door, and there was a scout here, and there were 3 archers over here. So what the rule says is if you have a non-attack action, so in this case the priest is moving and healing is not considered an attack action. First of all, let me explain what I did. What I did was I said, okay, he's healing, so I found a focus target to heal. And then I decided, is the priest going to move, or is he within range of his target? So the priest was within range, so he didn't move, and he would just heal the guy that's near him. And the priest just basically stayed in the corner and never really moved all that much, because he always had somebody within range to heal. So the actual rule states that if an enemy cannot perform an attack, if the monster cannot attack on its turn, either because it does not have an attack ability or because it has disarm, it focuses as if it's doing a melee attack. So the argument was that the priest that is sitting back here would have focused on the scout over here and moved spaces towards the scout as if it was going to do a melee. So it would have moved like the 2 or 3 spaces, however maximum spaces it had to move. And in doing so, after it moved, then and only then would it check to see if it could heal somebody. And if it moved out of range, then so bad, too sad. So it doesn't care if anybody's within range to heal. It is going to move as if it's going to attack somebody. And so in this case, he was our ally, so he would have moved to attack the scout. Now, the argument is that these 3 archers would have targeted, because after he would have moved, the archers would have shot him instead of the banner spear or the drifter or whoever was at the door. And then basically the argument was that the priest would have died, because there was like a hit for 5 damage, another hit for 4 damage. There was a null in there, so there was a miss. But that would have been 9 hits, and the priest would have died. So I can't retcon that. Let's just make it clear. This gets back to what I was talking about in the last video. When you're playing solo, just enjoy the game. If you figure out you made a mistake, just keep going. And that's what's happened here, right? I made a mistake. I actually think it's a dumb rule. I actually like the way I was playing it better, to be quite honest. I think that targeting a healing person with the enemy AI is smarter or better. I don't know. I mean, you could argue that Isaac Childress balanced the game to have them do dumb things like that. Having them charge in, even though they're not actually going to hit us, and just get closer to us so we can kill the priest quicker, is actually not a bad deal. But there was one mistake. So if that viewer is still watching, you made one mistake. And that mistake is an Algox priest has a shield. So when he did his math, he calculated that 9 damage would have been done, and it wouldn't. It would have been a lot less. Now, obviously, you could say, hey, he only has 6 hit points, so even if it's 7 damage, that would have still killed him. I guess maybe you have an argument there. I don't know if it would have actually been 9 damage. I would have to go back and look. I know what's funny is it was an argument for why long rests stink, and I run into this all the time where some of you think that long rest stinks. It never stinks. There are times when, yeah, you shouldn't long rest, and maybe that really was one of them, had I understood that the priest would have moved. With the way I understood the game, I played it perfectly, and my long rest was perfect. So when you change the rule even though that was always the rule, right? I just misunderstood it. But when you changed the rule, I would have played it differently. So I totally understand and respect that maybe I shouldn't have long rested, because yeah, I can't have my priest ally who, if he dies, I lose the scenario. I can't have him, charging the front lines. I totally get it. Um, so with that being said, I thank the viewer for pointing that out. I also curse the viewer for pointing that out because I actually like the rules the way I was playing them. So, and I'm saying that in all jest. I really am thankful because I do appreciate, when rules get corrected. I know sometimes I feel embarrassed or like you have to have a lot of humility when you play games like this, especially when other people are watching you play. Because even like, the infamous Rodney Smith and Rolling Solo and those guys, they make mistakes too. And Rado has his Klingons and, they all make mistakes. Um, and so I do too. And of course I make more of them because I don't edit my videos. Whereas they probably make a ton more mistakes, but they get to edit them out. Whereas all mine are here for you to see. Um, so I do appreciate it because it's not just about me. Like even if I enjoyed playing the game with the rules the way I was playing it, I'm misleading people, and I never want to mislead. It's actually a very biblical thing is you don't want to mislead people and make them go astray. And I do try to live to that principle. I'm not perfect at it, but I do appreciate it, and for that reason, I am both happy and upset. So I've been gushing over this game, and now I think the game sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I do think it's one of the dumbest things I've learned in a long time. I think that somebody that's healing should focus on a healing target and move towards that target, and that's it. So yeah, a priest should be in the back lines, moving back and forth, and not necessarily like a priest is back here. And how many games do you play where like D&D or whatever, you put the fighter up front, and then you have some kind of ranger or paladin next to them, right? You have your front line, and then you maybe have your thief next, and then the priest and the wizard are in the back. Why? Because they're squishy. And so the priest and the wizard are in the back because they're back there casting their spells and keeping everybody alive and doing damage from far. And you're getting frustrated because you need to slash down this fighter and this paladin to get past them so you can get to the squishy guys who are really annoying you. And the priest is buffing and debuffing, and the wizard's casting magic missile. And so there's nothing you want more than to take down those guys in the back because they're the really annoying guys. The fighter up front is not the threat. Well, in this game, the priest is charging forward like he's a fighter, and that makes no sense. It really doesn't. I don't like it, but I confirmed it. It is 100% correct. Now, when you read the rulebook, you have to assume that healing is not considered an attack ability, and that's not a big leap. Trust me, I get it. How is healing an attack ability? It's an ability on his attack card. So there is an angle where I would look at it and say, hey, he has a focus. He's healing somebody. And yes, it's on his attack card. These are called attack cards. The actual name for these is they're called attack cards. So everything on here is an attack, right? That is a healing on an attack card. And so, but even though I'm making a very passionate, argument for why you should see it the way I do, it's wrong. And it is confirmed on Board Game Geek that this is the correct way. So, all right, I know I beat that horse to death. Hopefully that clears things up for people. Yeah, I still enjoy the game. Would I have lost that last scenario? I probably would have, but I probably wouldn't have long rested then. Things would have changed. So, okay, let's get to this scenario. This scenario is an interesting one. As you know, we had to continue. And the way the continue rules work is you're basically treating it like it's a brand new scenario, so you get to refresh everything. The only difference is you're not going back to Frosthaven and doing an outpost phase, which also means you're not doing an event on the road. So there's no events, none of that stuff happens. You just immediately end one mission, wrap it up, and then move to the next. And of course, we wrapped up the last mission, at the end of the last mission. Now, this one had a couple of interesting quirks. The first one is we have a goal. There's going to be 2 bosses. We need to kill one outright, and then the other one needs to be at least at half of his hit points. And what they asked us to do was to get these 2 miniatures out. These are actual player characters that we have not unlocked yet. So I don't know exactly who they are or what they are. I mean, one of them is called a Snow Dancer. That's this one. And this one's called Frozen Fist. So I don't know if the actual class is called Snow Dancer class and Frozen Fist class. I don't know. But those are actual characters that we have yet to unlock. The Frozen Fist is actually the fist symbol. And then the Snow Dancer is a little snow symbol. And in fact, they're right next to each other in my box. So this would be the Snow Dancer. And then this one is the Frozen Fist. So we are literally using the miniatures that are meant for these 2 characters. That this box is still sealed, right? We haven't unlocked either of these classes. So we're using the miniatures for those classes even though we've not unlocked those classes yet. So I don't know if this is going to take an interesting twist or not. Like, my mind is going to all kinds of cool thoughts. Like, is this how we unlock the classes, right? Because we fought them? And if I kill one of these, which is what happens here, if the boss is dead, does that mean that the class is not available for the rest of the campaign? So now we got to pick which one we're going to, be able to play with later, and the other one is just gone? I mean, that just blows my mind. I hope it doesn't get that bad, but at the same time, I'm like, ooh. So that's the first thing. Sorry, I had to. Now, the book doesn't tell me any of those things. I'm just speculating. The only thing I know is we're using the miniatures to represent these 2 bosses. One will die, and the other one needs to be at half health. And depending on which one died, we're going to read different scenario outcomes. So that's another crazy thing. The next thing to announce is that every character gets 2 -1 cards added to their modifier deck. So this is scenario effects. In the original Gloomhaven, there were perks that you could take to make it so you can ignore these. And it's usually not a bad perk because these scenario effects stink whenever you get those. And as you can see, this one stinks. And then the next thing is if we did mission 3, we're supposed to read this. And if we did mission 2, we need to read B, which is on the next page. Okay. So A, which is the one we're not doing, there are 3 tiles. So if you did mission 3, you're going to play with these 2 tiles. And if you did mission 2, which is what we did, we're going to play with these 2 over here. So you're only using 2 of the 3 tiles, depending on which way you entered. And then, of course, this is the setup if we did mission 3 first, which we did not. So then we got to flip the page over. And this is our setup here. And that should look familiar, because that's what I got set up right now on the board. So, special rules. Don't set up 16. That's what I just explained. Door number 1 is locked until we kill all the enemies. And then it will unlock. And then it says instead of using standees for the bosses, we got to use the miniatures from the tuck boxes. And then, of course, when the door opens, we're going to go to 75.1. Alright. So that's the mission, should we choose to accept it, which we do. And let me get this open. There's a couple of things with the apps. The first one is this particular app here. When you load it for scenario 4, it's going to be on number 7. And it's going to have all these guards and scouts and like a whole bunch of enemies created. That's because it's assuming you're doing A. Introduction A. So then what you have to do is you have to actually kill all the enemies, like literally like kill them in the app, right? And it's pretty easy to do because if you want to kill both of these enemies, you could just say remove at the bottom here. So I had to remove all the enemies and basically make it so it was nothing but my characters. And then I had to move us to scenario 8, that one there. And then once I moved us to 8, then it filled in properly with everything that it needed to fill in with. So just it was actually very frustrating, and I didn't know exactly how to get this app to reflect the B side. It was set up for the A side very easily, and if you're doing the A side, then yeah, it'll be a piece of cake for you. But just understand that this is page 7 and that's page 8. That's what that references. So if you remember that and you know that, you can get it. It works like a charm, but you had to you have to kludge it a little bit. All right, so let's get the Foreteller app up now, and we're on Heart of Ice. And you can see the app is actually really good. It's telling you, we're doing induction A or B, and we're doing B, which is a lot shorter.
The battle is near. Sounds of it echo off the tunnel's icy walls. Metal crashing against stone. Thunder ripping the air. The chest-shaking howls of Orgox. Your breath is heavy as you follow your guide. Closer, closer. And then you arrive. But the middle of battle is no time to stand around. The Orgox around you are locked in bitter combat, spells shooting out with terrible quickness and heavy fists swinging. Immediately before you stands a final cluster of guards, their faces twist in fury at the sight of your party, realizing from which direction you've just come.
Wells, we will destroy you for this intrusion.
I never know how far away I need to sit in order for you to be able to hear this. Because, while this is going on, I'm listening to it, but I'm doing other things. So I apologize if I sat too far away again. I really need to open up my videos and listen to them. I upload my videos and don't even, listen to them. So I apologize. Okay, so the mission's simple. We just got to kill everybody and open that door. All best laid plans are simple, right? Okay, so let's just move a couple things out of the way. When that opens up, this board will be used, and it's going to go something like that. And so we'll do that, of course, after the door opens. So here's our scenario. We start here. I think I'm going to start with this layout. We have 2 guards in front of us and 3 archers in the back. It's a classic problem. The guards are blocking because this is these terrains, by the way, are the I always forget what they are. They're the purple ones, meaning that you can't move onto those terrains. You can fly on them or over them, and you can land on them if you're flying, but you can't voluntarily move on them. So these guys are blocking our way through. And that's classic, right? We got 2 elite guards, and then these guys are the ones that are going to be beating us to death. The ice pillars, they're behind the ice pillars, and they do not block line of sight, so they can shoot at us, even though we have to walk all the way around to get to them. So it is a bit of a problem. And I do need to try to use my winged shoes to get over these guys, and I'm thinking that Blinkblade needs to get the winged shoes, because having it on the banner spear has not been as helpful. So with that said, I don't think there's anything more to talk about. The priest is not with us, so we don't have an ally anymore, and it's just, business as usual. Let's get it done. Alright, I will pause real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back, and I have actually selected my actions, and also we gotta draw our combat objectives. So there's a couple things we need to do, but I don't think it's going to change my actions. One thing I did do while I was paused is the banner spear took this card back. This was not in our deck last time, so I got the reinforcement back. and I got rid of the the rallying cry. So that is one of the banners that we were thinking of doing. This adds +1 strength to everybody within 2. It is a nice card, but because it's a burn card, I don't, I only get to use it once, and I've never been able to use this the entire game, as far as I can understand. I mean, disarming is wonderful, but that formation is really hard to do, and even in this situation, it's hard to do. And it's largely because the designer of this game likes to create bottlenecks, and this requires a wide open room. Not always possible. So maybe I made a mistake, but I just feel like so this is a little bit more helpful because you control the movement. So this does not do blind movement. I get to put him exactly where I want him to be, and then that will allow me to create the scenarios that allow me to do some of those attacks that I've never been able to do, or at least not as often. So that's the idea. And then yeah, I'm going to summon him right away. I'm also going to summon a skeleton, and we're going to get our movement things in place, and then of course Rapture is going to do what Rapture does best, and that's create chaos. So this particular banner will not be used, so I could move that off to the side, and I will, and put the marker back, and then yeah, we got to get our combat cards shuffled. I did sleeve them at one point in time. So we have, it's so much easier to shuffle these when they're, now that they're sleeved, although the sleeves are very slippery. This is the first time I'm using Gamegenic sleeves. Believe it or not, I still have FFG sleeve packs. I just bought so many of them back in the day, but I did run out of this size. So I just bought some Gamegenic ones, and to be quite honest, they're just as good. Maybe a little more opaque, not as clear, but yeah, I like them. They shuffle really nicely. They're just as slippery as the FFG ones, that's for sure. It would be nice if they weren't so slippery, but maybe the slipperiness is what makes them shuffle really nicely. But I like the fact that they got that hard side, which allows me to do the side shuffle, because this is what I enjoy doing when I shuffle. I'm really not that good of a shuffler, so I need all the help I can get. Alright, so we're going to do, we get to draw 2, right, for this one. 2, 2, and 2. Like I said, I'm not going to be changing the actions, but we do need to decide what we're going to do right now. The loot deck, of course, is already established, because the app takes care of all that, which I'm grateful for. So let's start with Rapture here. We had this one last time, which was actually a little difficult to do. Never perform an action with a lost icon. Nope, that's not going to happen. That lost icon is so difficult. That's the burn card. That's the burn thing that we're talking about. Not going to do that. Collect 3 or more loot tokens in the same turn. It's possible? Lose a card to negate 2 or less damage from an attack. Ooh. See, here's the thing. I can't lose a card to block damage on a summon. I can only lose a card to block damage on myself. And this is the bone, Pennywise. So she's not going to be up in the front to take damage very often. So I guess we're going to try to get 3 or more loot tokens. That's the only thing I can do. I don't think I can burn a card to block damage. I mean, Pennywise, in all the scenarios we've played so far, hasn't taken damage yet, other than the stuff she does to herself to summon. Okay, this is the Banner Spear. Become exhausted before any other character. Wow. What a weird one that is. I'm assuming you have to actually become exhausted to get the check mark. Have 0 cards in your hand each time you rest. That is difficult, because you're going to get stuck with 1 card in your hand. Like, what would you do? How would you... I guess you could rest earlier. Ooh. I don't like either of these. I guess we're gonna try it for this one. This one, I don't want to become exhausted. Screw that. So, exhausted doesn't really hurt you too much. Oh, there is a third errata. We're supposed to be grabbing the loot cards, or the loot as we draw them. I'm not supposed to wait until the end, like I did before. Because if you actually get an item, you could use it. It's one of the new things in Frosthaven. In Gloomhaven, you couldn't use new items until you went back to town. But that's not the case here. Alright, Closer. Kill the last enemy to die in the scenario. Possible. Kill one or more enemies of each monster type that appears in the scenario. So that would mean I need to kill an archer. I need to kill a guard. That's why it's 2 check marks. This is not easy. This is not easy at all. There's bosses that are coming out too. Wow. I may miss this target. I wonder if the boss is considered a monster type. Now the Rapture needs to kill one of those guards as part of his retirement mission. And I am torn. So the last enemy to die is probably also going to be a boss, since there's 2 bosses in the game. So that's what makes this harder. This I have to kill a lot more than just the boss. We'll try the Exterminator. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do either of these, so maybe I spent way too much time over analyzing this, but yeah, we'll give that a shot. Alright, as far as like actions, like I said, this is going to summon a skeleton, this is going to summon the assistant, and then I'm going to throw a javelin just to get some damage in. I'm going to establish my my token things, so this character won't do anything. And then this one is going to just move up and jabby jabby. And I am going slow. I chose to go slow, so I gain another time token, and that does mean I'm going to muddle myself. But you know, I do that regularly anyways. All right, let's go ahead and draw some cards. Okay, so here you go. We got 2 characters going first, then the archer, and then Blink Blade, then the guard, and then Drifter last. So just a real quick check. The guards are going to do some very heavy damage, and the archers are also going to do heavy damage. So this is going to be a brutal round. I will have my summons in place, so maybe my summons are going to be the ones that are going to absorb these hits. We're going to find out. Okay, scrolling back up to the top, Bone Shaper is first. So the Bone Shaper is going to take 2 damage and summon that skeleton. So I'm down to 4 health. I'm going to gain an experience point for this. And let me create the summon on the app. Alright, so it's saying it's skeleton 0, which it's still frustrating because there is no skeleton 0. So I'm just going to grab skeleton number 1, put it on the board, and I'm going to give it 3 health, 2 movement, and 2 attack, 0 range. Alright, that is done. And then I can move 2, and I can grant one of my summons a move. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now this is actually putting me at risk, but I'm going to move 2 to here, and then have the summon move 2. And so that summon is right up in their business. But it's not going to get to attack. And I think I'm okay with this because at this point, I just want them to absorb hits instead of us. Alright, Bone Shaper's turn is over. Next is Banner Spear. And the same deal. We're going to summon a reinforcement, and this is not a burn card, so that's what's nice about it. We're going to gain an experience point, create a summon and get the reinforcement out. And Mr. Reinforcement here has a whopping 1 health. And he moves 2. And he doesn't do any attacks of any kind. So he really just goes and stands in certain places to help assist with the attacks. But that's fine for an experience point. And then we're going to go ahead and do a 3 damage attack and then put wind on the board. And it's range 3. So, just making room here for the card. So 3 range could be either of these guys. I think we're going to go after number 2 here. So I got the deck shuffled. And look at that. Right off the bat, I drew a -1. Let me make sure I really did shuffle this one. I did. That's one of the -1s that the scenario asked us to add to our deck. So it's a 2 damage attack against number 2. And that puts him down to 10 health. He's got a long way to go. And okay, and then the wind's on the board. So now the archers go. They have a range 4 attack. And they move 2. So this one would go first. And 1, 2, 3, 4 hits the skeleton. So he's going to do a 4 damage attack against the skeleton. So let's come back over here. Open up the monster deck. Boom. I mean, you know, when the app's doing it for you, I guess I can't ever, you know, no one can ever accuse me of cheating, right? That's excellent. Fantastic. So, skeleton survived, and next up is number 1. Again, range 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's not quite in range. If he moves 1 space, he's still not in range, and he can't move through this. So he would have to move. He can't move here because he's blocking. So he's going to move as far as he can. And I guess maybe I need to verify that. Does he move as far as he can? Because he doesn't get to hit any targets. So I think there is a possibility that if he can't hit a target, he doesn't move at all. And I, of course, forget. There's something in the back of my mind that's telling me that that's true, but I don't remember. So I just need to find where focus is. Alright. The rulebook's good. There's just a lot of rules. 41. Page 41. Okay. Would bring the monster within range. It focuses on the one who is closest. It is possible that a monster is unable to find a focus if it cannot reach a valid hex, given infinite movement from which it can perform its attack. In such cases, the monster does not move. That's not the case here. It does not matter whether the monster can actually reach the end of the path on its current turn, as long as there is a path to reach a hex from which to attack an enemy. The monster can focus on that enemy. Focus does not require line of sight. So what that's basically saying is, yes, they're going to move as far as they can, even if it means that they don't actually attack. Okay, we did it right. And this is where the order mattered. So number 1 going first got blocked by number 5. Now this one, by moving 1 space, the skeleton's in range again, and so it will shoot the skeleton. And this time it will be for 3 damage. And that makes it 4. So I'm going to use the Warden's Robe, which adds a shield of 2 every time I suffer damage from attack. So that means it only did 2 damage to the skeleton, and the skeleton stays alive. Come on. There we go. I know you couldn't see it with the camera, but I was having the hardest time reaching across and hitting that button. Um, okay, archers are done. So next up after the archers is Blink Blade, and then the guards are going to get to go. Now here's the problem. Blink Blade wanted to go up and cut, but that means the guards are going to possibly attack him. However, this guard goes first, and he will attack the skeleton. So Blink Blade, as long as he moves here, he's good. That's exactly what we're going to do. So he'll move up. He's got this ability, when he moves slow, he moves one less movement point, and one adjacent enemy suffers a damage. So guard number 2 takes another damage, and now he's down to 9 health. And then we're going to do a 4 damage attack, but then he's going to get muddled, which just means that he's going to be at disadvantage next round. So where's the muddle? There it is. And draw from his deck. And look at this. That's a +2. We like that. Remember, I got rid of the -2. And it has no relevance whatsoever. But my mind was going there, and I was like, oh, that doesn't mean a dang thing. Getting rid of the -2 does not help me get the +2. But that is 6 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to kill this guy in order to do my objective, but I was 3 damage short. I could have used my poison dagger or something like that. I didn't even think about that. It's too late. I don't want to retcon that. His turn's over, and then now the guard gets to go. So you can see here again, just a reminder, the guards are going to move 3 and then do 3, or they're both doing 4 damage. So it's very straightforward here. This guy is attacking the skeleton. So let's go ahead, and I don't think the skeleton's going to survive this one. But the fact that the skeleton absorbed 3 of their hits is a success in my book. So yes, the skeleton is dead. And I can always just resummon him again later. So he's down. And then guard number 4 here will actually move forward. And the Bone Shaper is actually going to be attacked. So I should have taken that other objective, potentially. It's going to do a 4 damage attack, which could kill the Bone Shaper. But as you can see, we just drew a -1. And that saved the Bone Shaper big time. Because the Bone Shaper just took 3 damage. He's down to 1 health. She is. So, alright. Next up. Oh, hold on. I never put this guy on the board. They still would have attacked the Bone Shaper. The Bone Shaper had the higher turn order. So she went before the Banner Spear. So nothing would have changed, but that is important, though, that guy be there. And then this guy is putting his tokens down. So we're going to have +2 to all of our movement and +2 to our melee attacks, which, as you know, is actually quite powerful. This character does not suck, that's for sure. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the round. So we're going to go ahead and hit end of round, and now it's time to pick our actions again. Alright, so what's our State of the Union? We still got to get past these guards. The archers, as predicted, are still a major problem. I do have the winged shoes with the Banner Spear, so I could hop over these guys and try to do something. However, the problem that creates for me is then the Banner Spear is going to get attacked by all the archers and have to absorb all the hits. So I don't know if I still have that card that makes them have disadvantage against me or not. This is going to be an interesting series of discussions. I'm going to start with the Banner Spear because I need this guy to be positioned to do some max damage. The spear attack, which is this one, is really cool. But as you can see, the guy needs to be behind me. So to do a spear attack on these two, I need to be standing where the bone spear is, and there's no ability for him to stand behind me. So I can't, I mean, I can do the spear attack, but I'm not going to get to hit two people. The other one is this one, which I can use my other allies to accomplish that. And the last one is this one, but that's a pincer, so I have to be on both sides. And with my jump ability, I could theoretically pull that off. So let's assume that I can do that, because that gives me an experience point that's 5 damage. That's a really nice one. And I'm going to muddle them. So let's assume I do that. I need to move 3 spaces to get to the other side. I got some nice 4 space ones. I don't necessarily need to go 4. Here I can grant 2 allies 3 spaces, and one of those could be myself. Now this would actually be nice to heal the Bone Shaper, who is down to 1 health. But I think I need to prioritize attacking this guy. So the thing that stinks is I don't necessarily need to give 3 spaces to 2 characters. But it is the perfect card, and it's a nice low number, which lets me go early. So we'll go ahead and do that one. And that's a 25. Alright, so now let's go to the Bone Shaper, who needs to heal desperately. This one's a nice one. Curse. 2 targets within range 2. Yeah, let's do that one. And let's hope that our heal card is a nice low number so she can go early. This one is a good one. We have wind on the board. Oh, wind! Oh, crap. I think this character had a wind card. Right there. That's a +1 damage. And then all attacks targeting you this round have disadvantage, which is good. So I could just try to move. Let's see, 1, 2. I could move 4 spaces and attack like number 2, which I don't know how much that helps me. I'm not going to make it to an archer if I move 4 spaces. Dang it, I wanted to use the wind. I don't think I can. So we're going to stick with what we did there. But coming back to here though, there was a heal card. This one doesn't use wind. Oh, that's not it. This one doesn't use wind either. It's heal 2. That's heal yourself. That's all I got for heals. So if I heal myself for 2, if I can figure out how to put Leaf or Dark on the board before she takes her turn, I could heal for more than 2, but I don't think I can. So that's a 30. And the skeleton is dead, so I'm removing it. Alright, next up is Blink Blade. So we can go fast. And I do want to go fast, because I want to kill number 2 for sure. And maybe even kill, like this is a perfect opportunity to do this. 3 damage attack against 2 targets. So that's a 45 for the top. What am I going to do for the bottom? This one heals everybody that's next to him, but the Bone Shaper is not next to him. This one, you move 4, and then all adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1. And so I can get up next to an archer and cause him to take a damage. It's not the worst thing. Like in terms of like, and it's a nice low number, 36. Let's do that. And then there's Drifter. So the Blink Blade, you would think that since he manipulates time, he would have a lot lower numbered cards, and he doesn't. But if you remember, one of the items that the game was recommending that I buy for him that I didn't was the thing that lets him manipulate time by 10. So like this Amulet of Life, I'm starting to see the value of this on the Bone Shaper. Since she's constantly damaging herself, it would be nice to give her a helmet that heals herself. Just one time, 1 point a turn is excellent. This is a really good purchase for her. The net, I'm not a big fan. This one, during your turn, you can basically cancel any mana to create any other mana. I'm assuming that it means you can use it on your turn. Otherwise, you're doing that for somebody else to use that mana. And of course, I want to get that for Blinkblade. By the way, Blinkblade does have a card that lets him jump and then go invisible, and I took that out of his deck. So, but it's just one single card. It's not every turn. But neither is the boots. Right here, the boots of speed. During initiative, increase or decrease your initiative by 10. So, if I had the boots of speed on him, instead of the wing boots, I can have him go even faster. And then even during the slow phase, he could still go faster if he wanted. It's actually a good option now. I'm starting to like it a little bit more. I like the other ones a lot more. And then we of course have the crafting items, which we crafted some stuff. I know we're going to go through this when we get back to camp. But I'm just I like refreshing my memory on what exactly we have available, because I'm sort of cementing how these characters are playing and what gives them the advantage versus not. Okay, so this guy is the Exterminator. The problem we have is everybody's in the way. So how's he going to go up and do damage? Well, he needs to go after the Banner Spear, because we got to move that guy out of the way. So it's not too hard to do. It's a 25. What do I want to... I do have range attacks that we can do. Like this one is just a 1 damage attack, but it poisons the guy. And poisoning them is not a bad idea because they have so many health points. It doesn't do a lot of damage to them, but and then this will heal. Yeah, actually, I'm going to do that. We're going to heal and poison, and I don't need anybody to be out of my way because it's a range attack. So I can just stay back where I am, and we're going to heal the Bone Shaper right away, and then take our pot shot. So that's the plan, Stan. Sorry for that. I had for dinner this thing that was called a sushi bake. And it's it was cooked fish. So it's called sushi bake, but it was cooked salmon. But it's over sushi rice, and it has the the spicy mayo and all these ingredients that you would have in sushi. It's literally a casserole. And I have to tell you, it was fantastic. My kids actually made it. And so it was amazing. I'm very impressed. And they came up with this all on their own. My one son, my other one's in college. But it was very spicy. So I got a nose running and stuff like that still from it. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's draw cards. Alright, so here you can see the archers are going right away. I don't like that. And they're doing a huge attack. Or huge range for their attack. But the Drifter does get to go first, so we are going to get to heal the Bone Shaper by 2. which will help. And then I'm going to do 1 damage attack against number 4 here and poison him. Because that's the key thing, is the poisoning. Let's draw our card. And we did no damage, but we still poison him. So these guys are going late. And this guy here is going to be poisoned. And you can see they're doing another big hit attack, but they're going late. Only the Blink Blade is after them. So, yeah, those archers are going to be creating traps and all kinds of nasty stuff. And they have a range of 5, so these 2 in the back are actually going to be able to hit somebody. Okay, it is the archer's turn. So now we got to endure some hits here. This one's going to be for 3 damage. He can't shoot around a corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It is in range, but it's, see, there's a corner here. And so even if I'm here, I guess you could say I can go right along the spine here, and then that would hit the spine of his. I think that works, because it's just any edge to any edge, right? So he could just barely hit Blink Blade, but I think he can. And it's going to be for 3 damage, and I think because of the new round, the null is going to be shuffled back in. Yep, it is. We did not get as lucky. So 4 damage, attack, and then he's putting up 2 traps. No, 1 trap that does 3 damage. And then an adjacent enemy hex. Well, that's the only adjacent hex he has. And Blink Blade here is in trouble. Down to 5 health. And he's muddled. Alright. Next up is number 1. So number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he can hit Blink Blade as well. And there's no need to move. And the only good news here is he's only doing 2 damage with his attack. And he does do 2 damage. Blink Blade has a shield. So we're going to use that to reduce the damage by 1. And so that'll just be a 1 damage hit on Blink Blade. He's down to 4. And then we put out another trap. And that one will go here. So now the pathway to get to the archers is completely clogged up. Then we have number 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the Blink Blade, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's 5 to everybody else. He's attacking Blink Blade as well for 2 damage. Come on, get a -1. Nope. Alright, so another 2 damage to Blink Blade. He's down to 2 health. Ay, and the guards are going before him. That's what makes this even harder. Okay, now it's the reinforcement's turn, Banner Spear. So the reinforcement is, I guess he could stay, because he'll absorb a hit. I don't need him to get out of the way anymore. And I'd rather he absorb a hit than have the Blink Blade get killed. Sure, I'll leave him there. I could switch up my actions and do something like this, right? This is pointless. But see, I could do a heal and then regenerate on like Blink Blade or somebody. That would have been nice, but I'm going to stick with my original plan. I am going to move, grant 2 allies 3 movement, right? So I'm going to let this guy move at least the 1 space that he can. I know that's not a lot, but it's 1 more than he needed to move before. And then the other ally is going to be myself. And we're going to use our boots to fly 1, 2, 3, and get to the other side. These standees are so tall. Alright, so he's on the other side there. And then we're going to do this pincer, because our guy is still here, and he's in the middle. We're going to do a 5 damage attack, which turns into 6, and we're going to muddle him. And we gain an experience point. So this is a really good attack. So this guy is going to get muddled as well as being poisoned. And then we're going to draw our card. And we drew a +0. So that was a 6 damage attack on this guy. 5 plus the 1 for poison. Alright. Now, you could argue I could have killed the other one. Yes. I'm being a little greedy because I want the Blink Blade to get credit. I want the Tinkerer to get, or the Drifter to get credit. And that's part of the problem, is now I'm trying to accomplish all these side quests. And of course that makes it so I'm not doing what's best for the mission. Best for the mission is to kill one of these guards so I don't have 2 of them attacking me. Next up is the Bone Shaper, who does not have any summons. So that's a little pointless. If an enemy has died this round, it'd get another +1 health. That would have been another nice thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this one. I'm cursing 2 targets. Both of those. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this where I heal myself for 2. Or, I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to heal Blink Blade for 2. And we still don't have any of those symbols. So we're going to get 2 on Blink Blade. It would have been nice to heal the Bone Shaper, but Blink Blade's actually in worse condition. And then we're going to curse the enemy. So I'm going to open up the monster deck and add 1, 2 curse cards. The app is quite good. It's not perfect, but the more I use it, the more I like it. As a person recording a video, it annoys me a little because I think it's easier to show you a card or show you, like zoom in so you could see the text on a card. It's easier, this is what I mean. I think it's easier to show you this than it is to show you the app, but this is fiddlier. And I make mistakes when I use this. I do like those sleeves. It's an excellent, innovative aspect to board gaming there. Okay. Bone Shaper is done, and now we got the guards. And the guards are going to do a 4 damage attack, range 2, which means that the guards are at disadvantage unless they move away. So this creates a whole new ball of wax. So this guard here is actually going to target the Banner Spear because he has lower initiative. So he needs to move 2 spaces, so he's going to move 1, 2 away so he doesn't have disadvantage. He had to move away to not have disadvantage. And yes, it's going to be a 4 damage attack. And just in case you're wondering, we don't see this card very often, but it's a range attack. Throwing axe is what they called it. Alright, so it is a 4 damage attack against the Banner Spear. And the Banner Spear is going to use her leather armor to give disadvantage. So let's go. Oh, come on. Alright, there's 1. Well, I guess I used up the +1. But no damage. So I'll take it. I mean, I'm sitting here whining because I took no damage. Then here's the next one. Now this is an interesting one. This guard has 4 people around him. So the focus is going to be lowest initiative. And the summon moves before the Banner Spear. So the summon is the target. And the guard just needs to move 1 space away. And now it can throw his axe without disadvantage. And there's nothing I can do to protect the summon, so he's toast unless another miracle happens here. He did a -1, so that would be 3 damage, and then the summon has 1 health. Yeah, that's not happening. So the summon goes away, but he did his job. We did the pincer movement and did 5 damage, or 6 damage actually. I think if you got 6 damage out of a card, and then that card gets discarded, I think that card was successful. It really was. I don't like that little 1 health summon, but actually that was worth it because I would not have been able to pull that off, at least not as easily, and without him. Okay, so now we go to Blinkblade, who is now at a respectable 4 health. And what were we doing here? We were moving. First of all, he was going fast, so I got to take a token off. I think it was going to move 4, and then all adjacent allies and enemies suffer 1. I did forget something, actually. I am going to give the Banner Spear her leather armor back. I'm refreshing it, and here's why. This archer was supposed to drop a trap, and it would have been here. So when this guy was moving back 2 spaces to get away from the Banner Spear, he can't. He can move here, and he's next to the Banner Spear every time. So then that means that this one would not have had anywhere to move. Well, actually, no. He could have just moved 2 like this. Nope, he can't, because that's his focus. So neither of them are going to be able to move. Hold on, let me think about this. We just finished saying that they would move infinitely if they have to. So this guy would have moved twice, and then this guy would have moved once. There we go. That's where they would have finished. It would look like that. Outcome exactly the same, except I did not need to use my leather armor because this guard here has disadvantage because he was not able to get 2 spaces away from his focus. Everything else stays the same. We now have a trap in the way. So we're going to have to get into some push-pull stuff. And so that's part of what I'm looking at here. The original plan was to move 4. I can, maybe try to get between the enemies there and make them all suffer 1 damage. But look at this. I got to push 3. Right there. So I can move 2. Push something 3 spaces. Do an attack 2. Gain a fire. And then over here, I'm going to immobilize 2 enemies that are near me. I mean, it's not quite as exciting. My original plan was to do this, but look, they're not in that position anymore. So I don't have to stick with the original plan. Now, do I need to do a move 2? The answer is no. It would have been more ideal if I would have... So yeah, I'm going to not move 2, but I'm going to push 3. And I'm going to push this one 3. So 1, 2, and then boom. He hits the trap, and 3 damage to him. And that should kill him. I'm going to check right now. Yeah, he's got exactly 3 health. So he dies. And a loot token drops right here. Okay, and then fire is going to go in the board. I don't know what good that's going to do us, but it is what it is. And now, one other thing. If I could figure out how to move 4, I could make it so all adjacent allies and enemies suffer a damage, and then I could spend a time token to push everybody next to me 3 spaces. The problem is I don't have that jump that I keep talking about. If I had the jump, I could have moved over him and went between these 2 and pushed this one onto that trap over there, which I didn't get to do. And then I have this card, which I can use to move 2 spaces. I don't know if I want to move 2 because now I'm closest to all the archers again, but yeah, I think I'm going to stick with it, and I may pay a price for that. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the round. 1 is down, and by the way, that is our objective for the retirement. So what I did here is I wrote the Algox guard, and then now I'm going to put a second X to show that we killed 2 of them. And if I get the card out, we need a Lurker, Claw Crushers, and we also need Robotic Bolt Shooters. And I think it's going to be a while before this guy's retiring. I mean, usually these are, we're not going to experience those until later. And those robotic bolt shooters already sound awful. Um, okay, let's keep moving. So we need him to kill the guard. So that means everybody else needs to focus on everybody else. So I'm going to look to see, do I have any push cards? Because I need to push that archer onto the trap so we can move through those spots. And unfortunately, I already used my fly shoes, which makes life even harder. And I don't have any push with him. I'm pretty sure I don't have push with this one. Nope. And the wind is gone. I don't think I have any more push with this one. I think I just used up all my pushes. I definitely need more pushes in life. That's what Grandma always said. No more pushes, folks. So I guess we just do it the hard way. That means someone's stepping on that sucker. Actually, it doesn't even mean that. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough movement to get there anyways. The good news is the Bone Shaper is safe. I don't have to worry about the Bone Shaper getting hit anymore. So we're going to summon another skeleton. And then we're going to heal ourselves. Oh, I spent that card, didn't I? Yes, I did. Dang it, dang it, dang it. What am I going to do on the bottom? This is not a bad one. So instead of playing the Wraith, on the next death of one of your summons, the attacker suffers 2. I think this is a good time to play that. So we'll do a 76 and 81. Although I need to heal. There is a heal here, but I'm damaging myself. What's interesting is it says one ally, and I don't know if that means yourself. Yeah, I think it does. So I heal myself for 5 and then take 2. I've seen worse game mechanics. Alright, 76 for this one. And then I gotta kill the reinforcement because we don't have him anymore. Alright, the banner. This one I think works through obstacles, since there's obstacles don't block line of sight. So if that was an obstacle, I could maybe hit the archer on the other side. And so here you can see that the blue needs to be behind me. So it's the opposite situation here. The banner spear needs to be there and he needs to be there. If I did that, I would be able to hit through here and hit this archer. It's close, but not quite. I could move to here, which would loot this, and as long as I go before Blink Blade, I could hit this archer here. Yeah, I'm going to play that, and then I just need to make sure I get in position. And it's just a move of 2. This one, I can have my allies move. This is an interesting one. Only applies to range attacks, but I need to get up front first. I have to move first. Oh, what do I want to do here? Those archers are full health. Yes, they are. 5, 8, and 5. So, like, I could do this to go early, right? and then get 4 movement. I don't need 4 movement though, that's my issue. I only need 2. So, you know what? I am going to do this one, I think. That gives me a lower number. It's not super low, like the archers might end up going before me, but 32 is better than 64. Okay, next. Mr. Blinky. We have one more fast token left. Heal everybody around him. At the end of your turn, play 1 card from your hand to immediately perform the top or bottom. It's cool, but I don't have enough time to do both. Or I could just heal self and give myself regenerate. Also a good one. It means I'm not moving though. I could move and kill that archer. This one, if I move slow, I only get to move 1 space. I heal myself. I put leaf on the board. I do miss out on this combo. So many interesting combinations with this. The playtesting this had to be a nightmare, this particular character. That guard has 6 health. I could probably, like, this is a nice one. I attack at a range 2. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to attack at a range 2. That lets me hit an archer, which is our biggest threat. And then do I have anything that has range? This is a range 1. And then I immediately do 2 damage, and that just switches that. This is a hit, move, hit. But it's a burn card. This is a hit and then move. Which actually I see some value there. Alright, I'll do that. 41. And his muddle is gone. Did Blinkblade attack last turn? If he did, I forgot to do muddle, and I apologize. That meant he had disadvantage. I see that I drew a +2, and that's all I did. So I don't think he attacked last turn. Let's look at his cards. Yeah, I think we changed the plan. We pushed. And there was nobody to attack after I pushed. So he literally just pushed and moved. Yeah, so we did it properly. There was no attack. So good to go there. Alright, this last guy. We need to go up and kill that thing. I don't necessarily need to do 4 movement, but this is great. It's 4 movement and a 3 damage, 3 range attack, but it burns the card. What did I say about burning cards in the first round? I think we need to do it though, because this is a very sticky situation, and if I let those archers live, I am going to pay a huge price. The problem is where do I stand? Because I want to be able to kill that Algox. Alright, let's think about this some more. I do have range attacks up here. But I'm not killing the Algox then, if I do that. Then this one hits 3 targets at range 2 and muddles them. But range 2 is really difficult. It's going to screw up with the Banner Spear's plans. That tip of the spear won't be doable. But I guess I could do this one instead. Yeah, that works. I can do that instead. So if I do a 1 damage attack against 3 archers, I would muddle all of them. Technically speaking, I could, instead of hitting one of the archers, I could hit the Algox instead. 1 damage is not a lot of damage. And then this one here, yeah, it's a burn. But I would... I have so many things I want to do. I want to take down these archers. But I need to also kill that Algox guard. Sorry, I was looking at his equipment. I don't have to do this. All I have to do is move 2 spaces and I get a bonus of 2. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to get to attack. That's the problem. So I am going to do that. I am just going to... I'll do the 23 and we'll switch up the plans. And the reason he needs to kill the guard is because he has that exterminator quest. He actually has to also kill an archer, which, again, I don't know if I'll be able to. But I have a feeling the archers are going to go at 14 and ruin our plans here. They actually go last, but they're doing a massive amount of damage. They are a huge threat. They're not even going last. Alright, so the Drifter is first. So here we go. We're going to do this to move 2. And when I do that, I'm going to gain an experience point to move 4. And then it says I can move one of the tokens backwards, and so it'll go backwards. So we come up here, gain an experience point, and we move 4 spaces. And that's a pretty straightforward 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a loot token. And that card is gone. And then here, I'm going to do a 1 damage attack against 3 targets, range 2, and I'm going to muddle them all, which means they're going to have disadvantage. So the guard, of course, is one of the ones I want to hit, but I think I'm actually going to go after all 3 archers, because they are going to have a massive attack coming up, and the guard is only going to attack one of us, and it's actually going to be the Drifter. So I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do is let's just attack these archers one at a time. I'm going to have disadvantage against this one, but these 2 I'm going to be okay with. And then I'm going to use... I have no items to... I have lucky dice. I'm going to use lucky dice against one of them, but not the one I have disadvantage. So let me grab the combat deck. Usually I just draw from the top and show you, but it's more fun to watch it actually being drawn. I am going to go after this archer here first. Let's do the disadvantage first. So I'm going to draw 2 and do the worst. Oh my gosh. So the worst is -1. What a stupid decision that was. So I did no damage to him, but that archer is going to be at disadvantage. I'm not going to bother putting it in the app. All 3 archers are going to be disadvantaged here. And that ×2 is gone. I don't get to reshuffle it back in. That would have only been 2 damage, but still. Okay, the next one. I'm going to go after the Elite Archer, and I'm going to play my lucky dice, which lets me treat the next 3 cards as rollers. So I'm basically going to draw 4 cards. Here's number 1. You stink. Number 2. You stink even more. 3 and 4. I did no damage. Oh my gosh. That lucky dice thing sucks. It does. It doesn't do anything. But I did at least muddle him. And then the last archer. There we go. We did 1 damage to archer number 1. I was getting so excited. We were going to draw cards and do things, and um, we we did. I mean, I guess we did give them disadvantage, which helps, because that means they're going to be drawing from just as crappy of a deck, because they got a deck just like ours. Um, but man, oh man, that was not fun. Not fun at all. Alright, before I forget, let's grab that archer. So number 1 took 1 single whopping damage, and all 3 of them are disadvantaged. Alright, and then we're going to grab a loot. So we got a rock root, and I will go ahead and take this away. Calgon, take me away. I'm going to Calgon it. How many of you remember that commercial? There may be crickets. Alright, so it's a little bit more micromanagement, but I am going to go ahead and put this rock root into the sheet. That is done. Alright. Next, after him, is the guard. So the guard is going to attack the drifter, and it's going to be for 3 damage. And we just gotta smile and take it. Here we go. It's going to be for 1 damage. I like Pizza Steve. The drifter drops to 9 health. Excellent. Alright, because the drifter is going to be targeted a lot by these archers. Next up, the banner spear. So we are going to move 4 spaces this time, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, like so, and then we're going to do this. So the drifter is here, and we're here, and the enemy's there. So I'm going to do a 3 damage attack against that archer, and I'm going to wound that archer. So if I can get him down to 1 health, he will still die, and I gain an experience point. So not quite the original plan, but it's still, I think, turned out to be just fine. Alright, so let's give ourselves that experience point first. Oh, I just did. Oh no, 2 is right. And then we're going to draw our card for the attack. Yeah, there's nothing I can do to manipulate it. It is a +1, so that is good. How much damage was it? It was 3 + 1 is 4. Oh, we might actually kill this guy. We don't even need the wound. Let's find out. It is not number 1. It is number 5. Actually, that's perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. And technically, you know, we could probably kill him now, but there is a turn order thing we got to worry about. And so he is wounded, so he will not take action. So we did eliminate one of the archers without them being able to attack us. So, excellent. Alright, now that the Banner Spear's turn is over, it is actually the archer's turn. And so they go in order. So we start with this one, and it's a range 3 attack, and he will attack the drifter for 5 damage. It's a lot of damage, folks. But he does have disadvantage. So here's attack 1. Ugh. Attack 2. Well, 5 is better than 7. That hurts. 5 damage. Do I want to burn a card? Is the question. I can absorb 5 hits. You know what? I have a shield. He has a heater shield. So we're going to use that to turn it into 4 hits. That's still a lot. But that puts the drifter down to 5 health. And then we're going to go to the other archer. So now number 1 is going to go, and he's going to do a 4 damage attack against, you guessed it, the drifter with disadvantage. So here's the first one. And there's the second one. So there, that became a 3 damage attack. The drifter did survive it, but he's down to 2 health. So that hurts. And then, like we said, this last archer activates and dies because of his wounds. And then a loot token drops. And unfortunately, one of us has to step on that trap if we want to get to that archer. Ugh. Alright. But we're not done. We still got 2 characters left. Blinkblade is up. So Blinkblade's plan is this one. A 3 damage attack at range 2. So we're going to do that. And he's going to target the elite archer here. And it's still a 3 damage attack. So that is 1, 2, 3. Now he's down to 5 health. Alright, so that card's done. And then we have do an attack for 3, and he's going to attack the Algok's guard. I may not be able to accomplish our mission, and that's fine. Oh, here's the card. We got a -1, so that became a 2 damage attack against the Algok's guard. Actually, it became a 3 because of the poison. So 1, 2, 3 is actually perfect because 6 health was a lot of health. Oh, the Algok's guard was muddled. I don't know if I drew disadvantage for him. That would change everything. I think we drew a -2, so I think we're okay there. But then the +2 would have been his other card. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Because then the archer did 5 damage, because it was either a +2 or a +0. Yeah, we're fine. I'm not going to mess with it too much. Because I think what happened was the guard drew the -2 and would have also drawn this one. So then the archer would have drawn the 0 and the 0, so that would have still been 5 damage. Then we had a -1 for the last one, which turned it into 3 damage. There's one more. There you go. So -1 and then 0. So nothing there. And then I get to move 2 and gain an experience point. And I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to gain that loot. Because, just to show you real quick, 1, 2, we're going to gain this loot and an experience point. Alright. There's the experience point, and then here's the loot card. So we got ourselves a medal. So we're going to put that in. That's now his second one. Second medal, not second loot. Alright, done. It makes me wonder, like, why do I bother collecting loot tokens? I guess, you know, if you need to count how many loot because there's a combat objective, I could see that. Okay, I need to pause real quick before I continue the turn, but it'll be Bone Shaper next. Okay, I am back. So I think the plan was, is we were going to play this and that. So that puts the Bone Shaper back down to 1 health. I'm really flirting with disaster there, but I think it's a good plan. And we're going to go ahead and create a summon and get that skeleton out again. Alright, and then he's going to have 1, 2, 3 health, 2 movement, and 2 attack. Okay, so, oh, and let's not forget an experience point. That brings us to the end of the round. Everybody is low health. Absolutely everybody. I think that Blinkblade has something that heals everybody around him. That one's self. This one's self. Right here. +2, everybody that's around him. And he's next to 2 people that all need to heal. Unfortunately, he's got to go slow, so 82 is a horrible number, and we don't have a lot of good choices here. This one will... Oh no, that won't allow him to move. This one does. So, well, he won't be able to wound them, but he can attack, move. Well, that's a burn card. Never mind. Nothing is at range. He could do this to heal himself. Ugh. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I mean, he's literally going to do nothing. So I guess we'll just play that card with it for the 49. By the time he takes his turn, everybody else is going to already be gone. Alright, so now we got the Drifter, who does have some range attacks still, although the Drifter needs to kill the enemy next to him. So we could do that one for sure, to kill the enemy next to him. So then this one, he could do a 3 damage attack to kill one of those archers, but it's a high number. But actually, I like this one instead. Heal yourself, 27. And it's also a nice low number. So get him to go earlier, although those archers go at 14. And then we have the Banner Spear, which we can go super early. And the Banner Spear is at full health. So I think we are going to do this, and we're going to move 4 spaces and just ramble right over that trap. Somebody's got to do it. And I don't have any, like this one is a, you throw something 3 spaces, if the target suffers damage, the target and all enemies adjacent to it gain a wound, which is really cool because there's 2 archers next to each other, but it's just a 1 damage attack. And if I move 4 spaces, I'm actually going to be next to them. I don't need to throw. But this is just, these are all single attacks. This one, though, gives anybody attacking me this round disadvantage, which is good. This one heals, but I can't do that yet. I like this one. Yeah, I'm going to do it. We're going to bust through the trap and then we'll throw an incendiary bomb. And what do I got left? The Bone Shaper. So I need to heal. I definitely need to heal. Like, I could heal myself there. That may be exactly what I have to do. So I'm going to basically just heal a net of 3. And then it puts Knight on the board, which is interesting. Because I do think I could use Knight, like right here, to pierce. Why don't I remember this card? I must not have used it last time. It must have burned early. Then this one, Curse. I like it. It's a late go, though. That guy's probably going to already be dead. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? I'm going to do it. Although both of these are putting Knight on the board. I'm okay with that. So we're going to go ahead and do 62 with that one. Going super late. So my biggest issue is going to be the archers, and I think they're going to go before anybody else, and that's going to be our doom. Oh, the Banner Spear. What did I decide to do with him? Oh, 6. I am going to get to go first with the Banner Spear, and I think that might save us. Oh, look. The archers are doing massive damage. That's not good. Actually, the guard is as well, but the guard should die. Okay, let's get started. We're going to do the banner spear. I'm moving 4. So 1, 2, I hit this trap, and I'm going to go 3 and then 4 around the side. So I do take 3 damage. Now, some of the traps in the original Gloomhaven were stun traps. Those aren't as much fun, but I gotta get through it. Otherwise, I can't get in here and hack and slash these people. Now, the thing I'm going to throw it at this guy. So he's going to hit everybody around him with fire, but not myself. So both of these guys will get wounded if all goes to plan. It does put fire on the board. I don't think that matters. But I have to cause damage. So if I draw a -1 or something like that, I'm screwed. And I don't have any way to improve my odds. And just to keep the suspense up, here's my deck. I'm going to draw, and look at that. Alright, sometimes the world just smiles on you. I was going to say frowns. That was the wrong answer. Here we go. Alright, so this archer took 2 damage and is wounded. And then the archer next doesn't take any damage, but he gets the wound. And that was the key. Alright, now I am going to do the drifter. So the drifter has the 3 damage, and we're going to turn it into 5, right? Because I'm going to move that little token. And that gives the drifter an experience point. And then I'm going to be able to move the character token on one of my persistent abilities backwards 1 if I killed the enemy, which I'm hoping I do. So the guard has only 3 health, and it's poisoned. So I only need to do 2 damage. And then, of course, I waste a +2 on that one. Where were you when I needed you? Alright, so we just did massive damage. This guy's dead. Loot token comes out. And that actually counts towards his objective, to kill 1 of each type. I don't know if he's going to kill these archers, but he was able to kill that one. And then I get to move 2 spaces and heal 2 self. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. And I'm not forgetting to move my marker back. Now the move 2 spaces, remember it's mandatory. I must spend my marker even though I don't need to move 4. So the good news there is I gain an experience point. The bad news, of course, is I just wasted a move. But I'm going to go ahead and move 1, 2, I'll go 3 to make room for Blink Blade here. And I'm next to him. And then, of course, I will heal 2, which is very much needed. He is now up to 4 health. Okay, so his turn's over, and now the archers actually go. So this archer actually is going to have a field day. He's going to attack the Banner Spear, who went first. Everybody's 2 range away. Banner Spear went first. And so Banner Spear is going to get attacked with a 5 damage attack. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. Banner Spear still has his leather armor, or her leather armor. So I'm going to go ahead and exhaust that, and we're going to give this archer disadvantage. There's still a lot of cards drawn, up at the top there. So that null is still out here. So here's number 1. That makes it 4. I guess I'll take 4. So 4 damage to Banner Spear. Now the Banner Spear is down to 3 health. Alright, we did survive it though. And then this archer here is in trouble. It wants to hit the Banner Spear as well. The movement for the archer is just 1, and there's nowhere it can go to avoid. It's definitely not going to step on the trap. Actually, no, it can move here. I apologize. Yeah, there is somewhere it can go. And so this one is going to do 4 damage, which, again, we can't absorb, but I'm praying that we draw that other curse or the natural one. It just did 5 damage. And that would kill the Banner Spear. So that means we have to burn a card. And the Banner Spear needs to end the turn with no cards in hand. And by burning one of these cards, I'm making it so I can't do that. Which one do I burn? I'm going to burn this one. So there's a block. I could have burned 2 from my discard pile, but that's even worse. What I essentially did is I ruined my chance of doing this. Because I'm going to have to rest, and I'm resting with 1 card in my hand. I'd rather burn 1 card than 2, because my resting is going to burn the second card. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's it. So now we get to actually go with these other guys, and let's see if I can do some damage here. The Blink Blade is going slow, so that puts a time token back on. Here he's going to heal 2, and he was supposed to heal everybody around him, and just like predicted, nobody's around him anymore. But he will heal himself for 2, and then he's going to attack for 3, Archer number 1. So let's do that. His deck is right here. So there's 3 damage to Archer 1. Oh, this guy took 1 damage, and this guy took 1 damage because they were wounded. So that means Archer 1 just got killed. That's what I'm trying to get at. So Archer 1 just died. And then the card says I'm going to move 2 spaces because I'm going slow. So I will move 1, 2, and now I'm next to this archer, and I'm going to attack for 3 more. And I am burning a card doing this, but I'm killing both archers. Hopefully. Alright, so that just did 2 damage instead of 3, but 2 is all we needed. So the archers are now dead. The room is clear, and the door, click, just unlocked. And this is the door, by the way. And that guy's gone. So we got another loot token there. Alright, and just a refresher, I gotta collect 3 loot tokens in the same turn with the Bone Shaper. I don't think that's gonna be very likely. Alright, turn is over, and now the Bone Shaper gets to go. We were gonna curse somebody. There's a fat chance of that. I'm going to heal for 3. 1, 2, 3. So Bone Shaper's up to 4. We're going to put Knight on the board. Not sure it makes a lick of difference. And I can't do anything there. So that was a bit of a waste. But before all that happened, the skeleton would have moved nowhere. Because the focus when there's nobody on the board is me. So skeleton would have stayed right where it's at. Okay, that brings us to the end of the round, and I am going to end the video here. It's very late at night. I will have to pick this up tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.